in my early terms and stuff like that. I go in there.
I just happen to have a bunch of badass individuals in the town, and one of the individuals I have in town is my boy Garet. How are we doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing wonderful, man.
Dude.
This morning has just been a blessing in all parts of my life, dude. And I don't even know if I talk about, but he took me over. We went for a run this morning. And we went over this bridge, and the top of my toes broken. But I went over this bridge with him this morning, and this view was this. I left him. I had to get a picture so bad of us on that bridge, dude, because that was just the most epic. That was just like, man, if everything wasn't making sense at that moment on that bridge, everything was making sense for me, man. And I just set the mood for the whole day. Dude. And I appreciate that, man.
100%.
Appreciate that. I chased that guy down.
He did.
Yeah.
He literally bounced from me, went and asked a random stranger to take a picture of us.
Yeah.
But and the dude was cool as hell. He was
cool.
from out of town.
Way cool.
Dude, that moment was cool for me because obviously you're in town from California. Yeah. California known for its beauty. Yeah. I've been out there. That's the first thing I always think.
Yeah.
And I get to see Austin every day, but there's still those times where I come up and I see the skyline or I'm running across the bridge. But today we hit that sun. It was perfect or whatever.
I'm gonna tell you a lot, man. A lot for me is that we have a lot of worries and a lot of stress and a lot of situations always going on in the world and in our head. And I gotta say, every time when I'm traveling, whether I'm in the hometown or I'm traveling somewhere and doing shows and stuff like that, that I know that even last night, my way to dinner, but I'm like a sunset chaser, a sunset chaser. And a sunrise chaser.
Okay.
And I just as this morning when we were sitting there and I caught that view, it really just brings me into this moment, man, and realize that all I got is now.
Right.
And it's like you get to that relief of like you're not worried about the past and I'm not worried about the future. I'm able to be in the present and just be my own self. And I was very present this morning on that bridge with with where I was at, what I was doing, who I was with, man. And I got to really pay attention. Like those are the moments and stuff I really pay attention to in the world, right. Man. Like it's just really like a. Some moments to live for, right. And it doesn't matter where you're at or who you're with, but like, you like every time I catch a sunset or a sunrise or and I'm able to stop my head and it just seems like, man, it all comes down to that moment, man. And a lot of that for me, that moment, man, brings it down to gratitude,
right.
Of my life today,
dude,
dude,
there's not a time when I'm not running past that skyline and I see it and it's like, damn, dude, I feel lucky.
Not only of the bridge and the skyline, but like those boats, like those people on the boats this morning were like in that water, the whole that vibe was just like. But it peaked out at the bridge. Let me tell you,
right.
It peaked out at the bridge.
Yeah, that was good.
That was great, man. It overshot the mark of anything.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah,
good shit.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to spend some time with you. I'm excited for this 100th episode. A 100th episode. I Am Redemption. Weekend is coming out, dude. You got a lot of heavy hitters and a lot of stress. Dude. But this is I love this town and what you're doing in it, and I see that I see all the positive vibes and stuff that you get from the people in this community, man.
Yeah.
And don't let up, man.
No,
don't let up, man.
Never.
Doing a good job.
Dude, we talked about it a little bit this morning. When you're aligned with God's purpose for you, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's easy.
Amen.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's not easy, but
well, it seems easy after.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
So, dude, you've anybody that if you already follow him, you're a popular man. You've been on a whole bunch of shows, and so I don't want to waste a lot of time because you've told your story and you've told about all the past. But just for the people who may not know you, if we could just kind of go back and talk about let's take it back to your rock bottom. If you could just like paint a picture for me.
I lived a life of rock bottom. I don't know if I ever had like a moment where I was like, but I have a few different episodes in my life where that was low, and I kept on going lower. And my name is Garet Mclendon, and I love doing podcasts. I love speaking. I love being an inspiration to others. I love being some hope. I love being this somebody for these people out there who who may be living like this way we're about to talk about, man, to let you guys know that there's a way out, man. And there's people like us, man, who love helping people to get to places like us, man. And so, like, if you're
that's why we connected immediately.
Yeah, and I'll care about these rock bottoms. I'll share in a general way a little bit about what it was like for me, and it wasn't, from a young age I was out there on the streets, and by choice, and I learned those habits I hung out with gang members. I learned how to hustle a sack. I learned, I learned, and the disease, what it is a disease of addiction just took a hold of me. And and it just took a hold of me, and it just fully grabbed and enveloped, and I just threw my whole life into this addiction and that lifestyle, and I didn't care about nothing else. I didn't care about my health. I didn't care about my sanity. I didn't care about the world, or I didn't know I didn't know nothing about society. It was everything that to do the opposite of society. And like when you saw me out there, I was losing my teeth at the age of 14, 15. I didn't have no real male figures to show me how to, to show me about hygiene. So like my hygiene sucked. I stunk. I had no teeth. I didn't care about what I wore or what I had on or my shoes or my designer stuff. Like I didn't care about none of that stuff. What I cared about was putting a drink hit or fix inside my system. And I just know that I woke up on the sole purpose of I'm gonna get loaded. And I just know that I didn't wake up. I didn't wake up, and think about I need to go to school, or I need to, maybe I need to go, family, or, I do this stuff. I woke up with the sole purpose is that I'm going to get loaded, and then I'm going to deal with life. And if I wasn't getting loaded, or if I didn't have enough, like I had a substantial amount in order for me to start dealing with life, like, a DMV, like a driver's license, or something like that. But, by the time I was, by the time I was 18, 19 years old, I started doing some time. By the time I was, and then I'm in and out of this prison system. I'm in and out of county jails and YA county jails, and I get stuck, and the big boys in this prison system, and like I'm being saved every time I'm getting arrested, man. I'm getting arrested. I won't drink and I won't use, for the most part when I'm, in my early terms and stuff like that. I go in there, I eat, and I work out and I sleep and I get out and I be this big old machine, and I get out, man. And as soon as I got out, something happened, man. Soon, and I'd be able to hold on. I'd be able to say no while I'm in there inside the system. I'd be able to read books and work out and do all this stuff. But I'm gonna tell you that something happened that last week when I hit that S time and I knew I was getting out, man. Like I knew, like deep down this, I didn't know what I knew now, but like I knew that deep down I had no defense against that drink hit or fix, man. And as soon as I got out and the opportunity came up, man, I take it, man. And I start with the drink because the drink wasn't that bad, and it was legal, and I don't have a problem with alcohol. And every time I take a drink and I get drunk and I feel this a little slowing me down, man, I go to something to bring me up, and I get the speed in my system, man. And then I'm in this flex, man, and I pick up, man. One's too many and thousand's not enough, man. And it would just escalate, that all plans and everything I had in my life would just be shot out. And what happened? This is look, man. I thought, man, because I was a smoker. I was that smoker. I look like a smoker. I ate out of trash cans, lived in trap houses, lived in the desert, in the bushes. I slept, just wherever I could. I was just like, I just roam around, just surviving, and I was always like this, man. I'm not that bad because I never stuck a needle on my arm. And then, and then this time came and I was in prison, and I'm living that lifestyle that I was living on the streets. I'm living inside prison. I'm doing these drops, and I brought some syringes and a pipe and dope and all this stuff inside the system. And I was sitting there in my cell taking a hit with this guy, and I watched as he took a hit and he dropped this pipe, and I was like, motherfucker, man, I was pissed. Dude.
Can't be easy to get a pipe in there either.
Man, but I was there with one of my partners, and I knew I had these brand new needles, and I was like, hey man, hit me. and
In prison.
in prison.
In
dude.
prison was the first time you shot up?
First time I was in prison. And I really thought I would stay in prison. I really thought that I'd be able to leave all that behind and leave that prison. And it was all like, I get off the yard and it'd be like I get out on the streets and it'd be a whole new life. And so like this thing happened, and I'm in prison, and I'm shooting methamphetamine, and man, I remember I floated out of my cell and stuff. But I'll tell you, when I got out, man, and I really thought I had a hold on it, and then the opportunity came. The guy that I was shooting with inside prison was out, and I went to his house, and he didn't hand me a pipe, he handed me a syringe, and I shot up. And I'm gonna tell you that whatever it did from that point on, man, it brought me there just that much faster.
Mm-hmm.
There was no progression of the disease. I went straight to, I get out, man, I put a needle in my arm, and I went straight there to like I missed everything, and it went straight to there. And what I mean there is that I don't talk to my family. I don't take care of my responsibilities. I don't have my loved ones. Like I know that as soon as I stuck that needle in my arm, I knew exactly where I was going, and that was back to prison. I just didn't know if it was going to be tomorrow, or if it was going to be in a couple weeks. But I lived a life out there, and I did whatever I had to do to support my habit. I did whatever I had to do out there to support my habit. Anything illegal, it didn't matter. Hips looked cool. Try to have a master plan. But when it came down to it, and you saw an opportunity to whether to a quick fix, or whatever, like you did what you had to do. And not only that, man, is that all of a sudden when I got out of prison, it seemed like heroin was a big thing, and the streets have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I started slamming these speed balls, man, of heroin and speed, and I couldn't stop, man. And I just disappeared into that scene. And I remember my mom brought my daughter to this trailer I was living in behind this house, and my mom just wanted me to see my daughter, and I didn't even want to see her. And you'd think that would be a rock bottom. Like she was like, "Come on, we're going to go to the rodeo, let's go." And at that moment, I was so sick because I just did it, and I couldn't leave that trailer,
Right.
And she'd be like, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong? What's wrong?" Because something happened to Garet, and many times I tell the loved ones, the people I love the most, I tell them I show up, and I be there, and I just wouldn't show up. And it wasn't because I didn't want to. It's just that, man, those drugs would take over my life.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I know, it's a day or two later, I'm getting arrested again, and this and that. And I had many rock bottoms in my life, and I'll say that a rock bottom, man. I lived at the bottom of I lived, my life I was cool with no responsibilities, living on the streets, just house to house, and it's not like I even stayed out. I didn't stay out that long, 45 days tops, I'd be out, man. I stay up probably 30 of those days I'd stay up, and it was just a matter of when, because I'd be out there at 2 to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, roaming the streets, trying to come up, and whatever I could do, and then, and it's only bound the cops would see me, and they just pull me in, and it'd be another violation, because absconding at the least, and there's just many rock bottoms, as man, I really wanted to be a dad, and I couldn't. I really wanted to have a relationship with my father, but I couldn't. I really wanted to work and and be a provider for my family and do all this stuff, man. But I couldn't, man. I wobbled this fence. I try to work and have this example, but at night I'm running around and I'm living this double life, and then and then all of a sudden it blow up, and I always went to the other side of the fence, man. I always went to the other side of the fence. That was easy. And then on Valentine's Day of 2013, I was in this shootout on the streets, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, Kane Gadsden out there in Lancaster, this guy shooting at me with a gun. I'm chasing after him, and the only thing I'm thinking about is revenge, man. I didn't think, I really wish that the guy would have shot me, would have gone out like a street hero, would have got maybe some, would have met, oh man, live by the sword, die by the sword type thing, but what happened is that I went and I got loaded with my mom that night, earlier that evening for Valentine's Day, and I got a friend with me, a hostage, and I get dropped off at this liquor store. Cops are looking for me everywhere, and my other thing is I don't know why, because I black out from these shots, and I do some stupid stuff, and the next thing I know, the cops are hitting every place, around town looking for me, and they dropped me off at this liquor store, and from that liquor store, I go to this trap house I'm staying at, and I'm seeking revenge. And an off-duty officer just saw me go from that store to that house, and they followed me, and they picked me up within minutes. And one more time, I'm on that train. I've been busted way too many times. It's nothing. It's just a walk, I go inside the system, and I'm eating Happy Cards. I'm drinking hand sanitizer with top ramen packs on it. I'm just anything to not be present or not to be present where I was at, man. I didn't want to be anywhere but where I was at, and this disease is just, it's just, I'm in there, and I went to this one program and sort of graduated and went through it, but on March 17th of 2013, I arrived at the second, and I had and I'll tell you what my life looked like at this moment is I didn't have nothing. I literally owned some. I have the shower shoes I got out of my from the store that someone gave me. I got a light blue or a dark blue zip up, see-through jumpsuit that I got, from the county. Some bright green jailhouse boxers that are size 4X, and those are my shorts, and those are my former workout. Those are the hangout workout boxers, everything, and I got a bag full. I got a clear plastic bag with some manila envelopes, and a couple pencils and some girls numbers, not numbers as in like phone numbers. I'm talking like their booking numbers, so I can write them in the county jail, 450 Boucher Street, type thing, and because I never stopped looking for a relationship, and I'm sitting there, man, and I'm sitting there as a broken egg, because I went through a treatment center, and I picked up again. And I'm sitting there in that position that I don't like, man. I'm sitting there with my hands on my head, my elbows on my knees, and my hands on my head, and I'm saying, man, I got. And deep down, I'm praying, dude. Deep down, I'm so sick of this cycle. I'm so I'm going over my life, dude. By this time, it's been a few days sober, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, I'm so like deep down to my innermost self, I came to this realization that, man, I'm tired of this life I'm living. I'm sick and tired. But not only that, but I came to this conclusion that it's up to me, man, that I have to do something about it. Nobody's going to come save me. Nobody's going to do it. Like, Garet has to do something. Garet has to do this change. Like, something has to happen, man. Because I'm going to go out there, I'm going to die, or I'm going to end up doing a life inside this penitentiary. I'm going to be out there on the streets. It's not like I'm out there on the streets that long. I'm in the penitentiary is where I'm at, and I'm sitting there, man, and this is one of the best things, man. I saw AA inside the prison system, inside the county jails, and I've been on the streets. I went to some meetings and stuff like this, man. But what it was is that I was sitting there in the office of this facility with 20 other guys, 14 to 20 other guys. We're all wearing the same clothes, the same thing, and we're all sitting there waiting to go into this process inside there, man. And it was nothing. Like, I know people went. I know I need to do something different, man. I know I need to change the area and the people I'm hanging out with and the things that I'm doing and all this stuff, man. Like, it's getting me nowhere, man. And it was just this guy, and he came to this door, and he was a friend of mine from the streets and from prison and from jails, and like I knew him, man. And and this guy that I knew came to the door, and like he was like, Garet, big bro. And I looked up, man, and I stood up, and he came over to me, man. And this guy, what he did is he came over, and he gave me this fucking hug, man. Like something that, and it's weird how the universe works, and even though you believe in it, you don't. But this guy came over to me, man, and he gave, and he's just like, man, big bro. He's like, so good to see you. He's like, I really hope you stay. He's like, and he told me, man, I got 9 months. And you're just like, damn, you got 9 months. Mm-hmm. And he looked good, and he had laughter. He had a smile on his face, man. He had he was just he was just looking great, man. And you can tell by the sound of his voice, man, that he was doing good. Mm-hmm. And it was the very first time I ever walked into an office of a treatment. So up to this point, it was like parole sent me here, or I have to do it, or this and that. And it was the very first time I ever walked into an office, man. And I went to this treatment lady, and I asked her, and she was like, and it was the very first time I ever made a decision. And I made a decision in my life that I was going to do something different.
Oh, yeah.
And when they talk about like, and when they talk about like, your old life, your new life is going to cost you your old one, man. I love to say, man, there's this, I've been out, say I have about 2 years, at this one point in my recovery, I go to treatment. I'm in treatment for 18 months. I'm learning, I'm plugging back in with the daughter, with the family, and I didn't talk to him. I had 168 traffic tickets, never had a driver's license. I didn't talk to my dad and my sisters for about 17 years. I didn't, my mom was, like she was my mom was one of my favorite and best using partners and crimies or whatever I needed. Always, mama was always there, what I'm saying? Like, and so I had, that, and like I had a lot of hate and stuff on my social media and all this stuff, man. Like I a whole different route, man. And I sort of, I was doing fraud on my own bank account. Like I never done taxes. I really didn't know how to talk. I never had like a same phone number for longer than 1 month. Like I all this stuff that's minor. Like it's minor to some people. They're like, well, man, like I never had none of that stuff, dude. Like right. I had to really like start like wait. I felt like I started so far back, and it was so overwhelming because I felt like I had so much stuff to clean up and do just so I could get to where I felt like I was on the same page with people and stuff,
Right.
And
let me go.
No, go ahead.
So you took my next two questions, but so I remember the moment, you know what I mean? Like I ran around fucking. I remember glorifying a life where it's like, man, I could do time, like that ain't shit. And then I started doing time, and I was like, fuck this, like this is not what it is. But I can remember it was two very clear moments for me. The one moment where I'm standing in front of a judge and getting ready to get my sentence, and he looks at me and he tells me that he's going to charge me as habitual criminal. He sees no reason to sentence me to under 20 years. And I remember running around in the streets and was in the military and all this shit, and I thought I was a tough guy. But as soon as that man looked me in the face and told me 20 years, the tough guy shit went right out the window for me. Like I was done. But I remember, they gave me a continuance, so it wasn't my final sentencing, and they got me my lawyer was able to get me some time where I could check into treatment. And I had went into treatment, and so now it's a foregone conclusion. I'm already going away for 20 years, right? I'd been to treatment 12 other times, never fucking worked. But for every other time I went, I'm trying to get out of trouble. I'm trying to fucking, you know what I mean? Never truly going for the right reasons. So finally now I'm going away for 20 years. They got me a little bit of time where I can at least try to get clean so I don't get a kick when I go to county. Hopefully at this point I can get on speaking terms with my family. And so I go and I do treatment, and I check into the VA, and I stayed at the VA for as long as I could. I ended up doing 8 months of treatment. Kept this folder of everything I had been doing. Go in there finally to talk to my lawyer. Now it's time for sentencing. hand him the folder, and he opened it up and his jaw dropped, and he's like, I never expected this out of you. Like, you've given me something where I could really work with. Let me go back and talk to the judge. So whatever you're doing, I just need you to keep doing it. And that right there was like the first glimmer of hope, much like you had gotten that hug, you know what I mean? Where it's just something changed, something clicked. And I got that glimmer of hope. And to be honest, I'm not, obviously, your addiction's right around the corners, doing push-ups and all that. But bro, from that moment, like, I've been on fire since then. Like, I've never looked back, because it was like I finally had hope, and it had been so long since I felt that I just clung on to it for dear life, and I was fucking off to the races. Checked into a 6-month treatment center after that, started running, started doing all these things. But it was that big moment of hope where I was like, oh, this is possible. Like, just like you're sitting there talking to that guy, he's 9 months sober, and you're like, holy fuck, 9 months? Like, I can't even comprehend 9 minutes or 9 seconds.
Yeah.
So was that the moment for you where like things started to turn, and that gave you that hope to actually set out and do this the right way?
What gave me the hope is that I think it was me, that hug helped. That hug put me in the right direction, and it just sort of made it so when I walked in there, and me making that decision when I was sitting there in that office, that I was going to stay, but honestly, like, throwing myself into this program, and like really like just being willing at all costs to put all that stuff that I think I know about living life, and being able to put it aside, man, and learn a new way to live, and really just being able to be new, and just and make, and just like, I had a really like the moment is I just did it, man. I just went full, like, I just threw myself in it, like I threw myself in that. Like in my disease, like, what they talked about, you have to go at it like you would for like a sack or something, or for your disease, and feeding all that. And I sort of just, I threw myself at it, and I took direction, and I listened, and I just sort of, and the thing is why I kept on doing it, man, is because it was working, man. And it was way, and it was, and just something clicked, and it wasn't like people weren't using there and doing all this stuff. It was like something inside me, man. I just didn't want to no more. I lost that urge, I just, something changed in me to where, like, I play it all out, or I think about what if what was going to happen, And if I was to pick up, a drink, a hit or a fix, man, I know exactly where I would be, and I had to be honest with myself. Like, I couldn't be like, oh, well, if I could pick up on the weekend, or And then the examples of that of people who were just coming in and going out, and like people that would quote the book. I'll tell you, man, my friend that was there, like, I envied him. I envied everything he had, man, because he had everything I didn't. And I really wanted, and I put him up on this high horse, man. And I watched this guy succeed in the program and graduate, and we went to our commitments together, and we did all this stuff together. And I watched this guy get a life, and I'm riding my bicycle to my commitment. I can't get a license because I got all this wreckage of my past. I'm starting back. I'm not starting. I have to start cleaning. I'm cleaning up all this wreckage. I'm watching my friend, man, just like, he has he got his license, he got this truck, he got this nice job, he graduates the program. I'm watching him get this girlfriend and get a better job and a nice place. And I watch how his life goes, man, and all the material stuff, man, comes, and like, and then when he took a drink, man, and he got drunk, like, I was like, damn, we're not immune.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when it's just somebody you don't know, or people you're like, oh, well, I always expected you. But when it's your treasure, what is somebody you're close to, and you build this relationship, man, I don't ever expect you to go out, man.
Right. And
I remember I used to call him, man, because I used to call him, and he talk about, man, it's his date night on Friday. He's missing the meeting. How he can't make it on Thursday because because he's working that overtime. And I said, like, damn, I can't wait to work overtime. I can't wait. And I watched, like, recovery and life are two different things, man. And I only got my life today because of recovery. My enthusiasm and my passion about my recovery and about being inspiration and bringing sunshine to every situation and bringing a solution and not a problem. I'm like all this stuff that I learned here, man. It gets me through my life, But I have to check into, like my life is solely I built my life from recovery out,
right?
And I was disappointed, like when that stuff when he went out, man. It really made me double down, like anybody, nobody's immune, and I it was like the first, and I graduated and I got my teeth fixed. I had like my first steak and lobster. I went to the beach after never going to the beach. Like I got me a job, which I rode my bicycle to, what I'm saying? Like I started saving, like a couple $100 a week, in this place. And then I started taking care of like DUI classes and community service and doing all this stuff and all this stuff's coming along and I'm able to sit in treatment long enough. And I always wanted to go. I had this counselor, man, that like I always wanted to leave. Right? I got, because I had rules there, and after a while following these rules, like I wanted to break these rules. Like what do you mean I can't get a weekend pass? What do you mean I can't get a 10-hour pass instead of an 8-hour pass? Like I always wanted more. I always just wanted a little bit more, man. And they would be like, no, these are the rules. Like you can only go like if and I get these 6-hour or 8-hour passes, and I really know, and I just work, and I really didn't. And what it is, it taught me like all this. It taught me this sense of responsibility, man. And I just like as much like my counselor would tell me, she'd be like, what's the wrong? Like what is it? Like like why is it that you have to go out there and do that? And I never had an answer for her. Yeah. Why? She'd always be like, why? What's wrong with what you got, man? What's wrong with just being? Why you want to leave? And she asked me the next question: where are you gonna go? I don't have no place to go. I was better off staying there as long as I could, and which I did, until the opportunity came for me to leave, man.
Right. The one thing, the program is absolutely my foundation, but the one where I would always kind of go wrong, and it's my fault, was, I go into the program and I go into it like anything else, head first, all in, 90 meetings, 90 days, sponsors, sponsees, everything. But I would personally, and I talk about it a lot, like I would trap myself in this recovery bubble where everybody I talked to, everything I did, every event I went to is just recovery. And what nobody ever talked to me about, is it's on you to build a life. It's on you to understand you build that life outside of that. But I made my life recovery. And so after a while, I would get bored. I'd get,
complacent,
not doing any of these things, and I'd end up going back out. And so I had tried the mental health route where I took the medications and therapy and all that. That didn't keep me happy or sober. Did the program, and, in all honesty, man, like sitting down in my first meeting, I remember looking around and I was like, this is it? I got to do this shit forever? You know what I mean? My outlook on it wasn't hopeful. But it was really, really, really cool how I never in all of my life understood or made the connection or ever knew that you could take your physical health and that could impact the other ones. And so I end up in this treatment center, 6-month treatment center, and I go start running. And now all these mental health problems I'm having slowly start getting better and more manageable. And now all of a sudden people are seeing the effects running is having on me and my mental health and my presence at treatment and all that. Now they want to start running. So now I'm able to start using my experience to help them. And now I go run a race and they see how I am after a race. So now they want to run a race. And so this cool thing happened while I was in treatment this last time to where I got out and involved in the running community. And I started noticing that, oh, wait a minute, mind, body, spirit. I'm addressing all three. And now all of a sudden it's working. And so like running in this amazing way helped me start to build that life outside of it. So finally now, you wake up in treatment, it's like, oh, I'm fucking going to a 7:00 meeting tonight. Like, no, I'm going to the 7:00 meeting, but it's on us to go out and get outside of our comfort zone, find these things where tap into your passion, tap into the things you're into. All these, we've been getting fucked up for so long. I don't know what I'm into now as a sober adult. I don't know these things. I never knew I could be into running. Running has always been punishment my whole life. So then, you know, adding in that physical piece only enhanced these other ones to where it made my recovery stronger. It made the people I was around stronger and all these things. So now I actually had this life to where now I understood, like, oh, wait a minute, recovery is my tool. It's foundation. The program's a tool. It doesn't have, it can't be my entire life where I wrap it up into that. And I have my question for you. Number one, I want to get to the physical piece because I know you're a physical guy too, but I want to know, you being a proud program guy, like, how do you feel about the recovered thing? Because
Is there a difference?
I mean, there's some people that get real bent out of shape. You say, I'm a recovered addict, or if I'm recovering.
I don't pay no attention to it, man.
I remember having a conversation with a guy who hit me up and they wanted me to do this speaking thing. And he was like, I just got to ask you a couple questions first. And I was like, all right, cool. And he's like, are you currently suffering from mental health, substance abuse, this and that? And I was like, no. And he's like, what do you mean no? You're in recovery, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, then you're obviously suffering from that. And I was like, no, like I'm not. No, I'm not. Then he hit me with, your diseases out there doing push-ups and all that. And I was like, bro, I hear what you're saying. But for me to say yes and say I'm currently suffering from that would lead somebody to believe that I'm just like white knuckling it through life of like, I wake up this morning and I don't know if I'm going to get high or not.
Yeah.
I've for sure recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. I don't struggle with that decision anymore. Not to say I'm not still an addict or something could happen, but that's not life right now. And so I didn't know how you felt about, you know what I mean?
To thy own self be true. And so recovering, recovering. I think that's all on the beholder. I just know that I practice this way of life because it keeps my head quiet. And I got to stay in here because my worst enemy is me.
Yeah.
And I get lots of feedback about, people ask me, on social and about lots of different questions and as to thy own self be true, man. Like I my program might get you loaded or my program might help you. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just know that there's, there's the, if this program and these 12 steps will help you in every single area of your life.
100%.
And 100%. And it's not just by here. I have watched and heard and know people that like, and especially once you put the physical into it. Especially once you really like, and if you're new, it's it's not, but like, and after 2 years of putting in this writing and working in meetings and stuff like that, and if you really like, get into that physical, and like running and working out and eating healthy and really growing that side of it too, like it is really just like. I didn't know nothing about like I thought, well, this is the thing. I thought I knew about meditation and prayer, and I was out, and I was out motorcycling with these guys, and I asked them, and this guy asked, and he's like, yeah, I do yoga, and it helps me like when I ride. It's sort of like, and I was like, yoga, that's like I'm too manly for that,
When you go do yoga for the first time, it's hard as a bitch.
And so I have a friend that did yoga. And I was like, hey, I want to do private. I don't want to go to no place where people will see me, but I had somebody come to my house and do yoga. And this is the catch. And the yoga is very good. And I love the stretching. But then they asked me, do I want to do more meditation or more yoga? And I was like, meditation. And like I didn't know that yoga was so much into that meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And what it really taught me is to really be into this. It really taught me. So then I was getting addicted to doing these, 20, 15 minute, 20 minute, 30 minute meditations and then the yoga, and it really, I thought I knew, I thought what I was doing for 2 to 3 minutes of meditating at my with a cup of coffee, and my books open in the morning. I'm thinking that suffices. And this person up, and I was just like, what was that? And it escalated, in my yoga and stuff like that. And and everything. But like it really taught me about meditation, and so like I really think that mind, body, and spirit. And I really think that the mind and the spirit and as you get in that body of that when you really and not only and too is a confidence boost and it's like just to be in a great shape and just to be like consistent like you work on all this other areas of your life, but like you're your best project. You are that shining example. Like you are this example for other people to see, and like you're the billboard. I'm a billboard. Like people see us. We're tall. We're like, and you're physically fit. And I'm not saying that you have to be in the. I'm not saying with no 5 hours a day every single day and eating no carbs and all this and all that stuff. But I'm saying that consistent in a way that to your lifestyle to where you're doing something.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you and I'm gonna tell you they say that just doing something over a long period of time is what really counts, man. And I'm talking what I have done is I have my eating habits have gotten better throughout time of what I eat, what I put in my body, and I've been consistent at eating right, and I've been consistent at dude. I did this big run, dude. I did this. I got addicted to Spartan runs and all these cross country runs and all these like different elevations runs and all this stuff. I'm like still to this day like I don't know what it like. All of a sudden I was just like I'm gonna do a 5K and you complete it and you feel good. And I did this 13-mile Spartan beast. And it was up hills and down. It was solid. And I'm gonna tell you, like physically, man, my body was fine, great. Mentally, the mental strongness, man. And that's a lot of it's mental, man. Like it's that mind, man. Like mind, dude. Like I had to prepare myself mentally for this race, and being in that race, it really and what it feels like the triumph when you cross that finish line, man. Because I was like, like I wanted to cut corners, I wanted to cheat. I like, what am I going to finish? My mind starts getting me all negative and all in my head, and it starts to, like, am I going to make it? Am I, should I just cheat? Should I just do this? And I'm telling myself, man, if I did all that, man, then when I got that trophy at the end, then it's not gonna mean nothing. And I finished, dude. And it took me a long time, but I finished. And I think a lot of it in life is just finishing what you started.
Yeah.
You
said a very good key, and you were talking about your meditation. You said you started with the 2 or 3 minutes, and then it ended up going up. And that right there was I have the Thursday night redemption crew meeting every Thursday, and that was one of the topics we were talking about last night. And the key was you built on it. And there was a gentleman. He was saying he was saying that he had bought meditation books like 10 years ago, and they've just sat there. He's never used them. And so he was so proud. He's like, dude, I really started doing it. And, he's like, I don't know if I'm doing it. At first I'm doing it and I feel like I'm not doing it right, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to keep doing it. He's like, now I feel like I'm going to keep doing it. And he was like so on fire that he used this book. And I was like, bro, like this moment that you're in right now is so important, because it's just like people who start going to the gym. Their gym knowledge is their high school football days, and that's what they do. And they know a couple exercises and they go in there and they do them, but they don't ever build on it. They don't learn new exercises. They don't educate themselves. So you do this for a little bit, you do it for a while, then you get bored, then you quit. And I was like, bro, you just saw that you could do that. So now you're meditating. So it's like, all right, what's next? And then continue to build on that. And then that's how you get up to where you're doing crazy Spartan beast races. You're doing fucking ultra marathons. Like you're doing all these crazy things. And those are the things where for me, it was like all these years of just chalking it up to, I'm just Shawn the dope fiend, I'm just Shawn the alcoholic or anything. You go out and you run a fucking 100K, 100 miler, you look around like, hey, I may be a fucking addict, but I'm capable of far more than I ever thought I could do.
Far more,
And so that's the key, is just sitting there and continuing to be able to build on that, and then like being able to segue, because there was a time when I was a runner, I was all I was, and then I got injured, and so now I have the gym. And so now it's like, I throw all my eggs into that running basket. Well, what happens if you get injured and you can't run anymore? Well, now I got the program. Now I got the gym. Now I have community. Now I have running. Like I have all these different tools that I'm able to use.
I think a lot of it in any direction is that you have to stay consistent in whatever you choose to do, and you don't have to have some really big drawn out plan, but you have to have a plan. and as time goes by, as the it will turn into a bigger plan, and you'll figure out what you do like and what you don't like, what works for you, what and all this stuff, and like just like I threw myself in the program, and like and also big thing is that like I'm a dad, and I have a son, and I want to be present in my son's life, and I want to be, and I'm an example not to a lot of guys and stuff, but also to this little guy, my son, and my boys, and so like I work, and so what it is they go to these events with me, they run with me. They're in my garage every day, and they're working out, and it feels really good to be their example, and so I really, it goes because I didn't have this example I didn't have those examples, I didn't have that father figure example or some of the physical conditions or doing any of this stuff, and so it means something to me to be this example for these little, for my kids to just the positive influence and to have them working out and I love it, man. But I tell you what, man, like you're not going to feel like doing it every day in the physical. You're not going to feel like doing your program every day. You're not going to feel like working out every day. You're not going to feel like going to work every day. But you just do it, man. And I'm gonna tell you, like the best part about it is like when you just do it, that like my mind when it's telling me, no, you don't need to do it today. You don't even like I had to stop being lazy. I had to learn that discipline. Like my favorite thing is, man, my line is that freedom through discipline, and the more disciplined my life is, the more freedom I get, and the more I'm able to, like just like not in my head and keeping the movement, man, and like and these baby steps, man, that what you do and what you're going and like it gets you to and to stay out of the noise and all that stuff in life, man, and to really just focus on and like, man, like this, and this like this routine of life.
Yep.
My routine of life before, my routine of life now is two different things.
Right.
Yeah.
You got somebody listening to this. They sit there, they heard your story, and they just heard it in a different way. They haven't never heard it before, but they're out there suffering right now. What is your number one piece of advice for them?
My number one advice is this, man. Is that I'm a little story, man. And at 2 years, man, I was out. I did 18 months in a treatment center, and I finally left that nest. I got out into the real world. I did listen, and what they told me, they said the very first thing you need to do is you need to go to a meeting. And the very first thing I did before anything, man, is I went to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, man, and I sat down there, and this guy chose me as a sponsee. I did not have to ask him. He chose me and said, "You're going to work with me." And I started to work with this guy. And I say that 2 years I'm at this retreat, men's retreat, and I'm new. Just remember, if you're in treatment and you get out, man, you're new. Mm-hmm. I was new, and I used to shave my head. I learned how to shave and do all this stuff when I was in the county jails by the men and stuff, elders and all this stuff inside the county jail with these orange grenade razor blades. I put towels all over the ground, or I'd be in the shower and I shave my head first and I just cut it all up and it'd be blood everywhere and that's how I thought was shaving. And I'm out, dude, and I'm at this men's retreat. I'm in this cabin, and I set it up just like I'm in jail. I make the same little scenario I would make in prison. I make inside, this bathroom, and the steam's on in the shower, and I'm shaving in this mirror. I got a single edge, single bic with no blade razor, and I'm shaving my head, and I'm edging up my face, and blood's everywhere, man. It looks like a murder scene. I got towels wrapped around my neck and and all this stuff, and trying to put hot water on it, and brute and all this stuff. It's stinging, and this guy sees me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm shaving." And he's like, "Hasn't anybody ever showed you how to shave?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Can I show you? Is it all right if I show you how to shave?" And I was like, Yeah, I'll let you show me how to shave. And he went and he got, some shaving gel, and he got like a Mach 5 razor, and he showed me a new way to do something that I already knew how to do. And that's what it is. That's the only advice I could do, man. Is the only advice I can give to anybody out there, man. Is are you willing to let somebody show you a new way to do something that you already know how to do? And that's my thing, man. Is like to this day, man. Am I willing to let somebody show me a new way to do something that I think I already know, man? I am constantly in that state of growth, man, and like to where like I don't have the answers. I still want to learn. Like I still have to set aside the ego and the pride, and I have to let the men, man, show me a new way to do something that I already know, man, and that's growth. And if you're willing, man, to set aside everything you think you know about life and living life and about everything in life, man, and are willing, man, to let us show you what we're not man, and I'm saying from our experience, not from our knowledge. I will only let you know, man, from my experiences, man. I'm not going to tell you something I haven't done. I'm not going to speak from a part, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Fire. Fire right there. Yeah. That was fire. That was a good story.
But I honestly, man, like I've 100%, man, to this day when they talk about your new life will cost you your old one. That my old life is my old life. And I only use it to inspire people who are out there who know, so I can identify with them. Let you know I've been in that barrel. I've been on those streets. I've been I've been homeless. I had track marks from my ankles up to my neck. I used to be one of those ones that said I'll never put a needle in my arm. I'll never shoot heroin. And I did it, man. All that stuff. And I'm telling you right now, today I'm a responsible father, employee. I'm a business owner. All this stuff, man. Today, man, like learning a new way to live and I'm gonna tell you, man, like it's because, man, I'm to this day, number one is because of God, the program, and because I'm willing to let somebody teach me something I already know.
100%, dude. Good shit.
Thank you.
All right, now I got a hypothetical question for you.
Ooh, I love hypotheticals.
This is my favorite question to ask for whatever reason. I ask it every episode. Hypothetically speaking, you are walking out tonight for the UFC heavyweight championship of the world. What is your walkout song?
What is my walkout song? My walkout song for the UFC, and I'm the fighter.
Yep.
And I'm walking out.
You're contending for the championship tonight. You need to get fucking jacked. You're ready to go.
What is my motivational song? That is kind of Teddy Swims, dude.
Teddy Swims?
Yeah.
Who's Teddy Swims?
Oh man, Teddy.
What type of music are we talking about?
The Teddy Swims right now is he sings a song and I don't know the name, but I have it on my phone, man. But Teddy Swims it's a slow, and it's just a song that touches me in the heart, man. And it's because what it is it's something emotional, and it's about love, and it's about a connection, man. And when I tell you, when I walk out into that ring, I already know that I'm a number one contender in MMA, and so I don't need to know that. I just need to know that I needed something that blocks all that noises, gets me right down into the heart. And this song is just one of his song, man. It just gives me, I don't know why, it just gives me the goosebumps, bro.
Yeah.
But it really brings me into the now.
Let's go.
You
thought about it too. Usually people just rattle some shit off. You thought about that.
Yeah, I did.
That was good shit.
Yeah.
That was good shit. Well, dude, I couldn't be more excited that you're in town for Redemption Weekend, man. I'm proud to have you. I originally met you out in California. We clicked immediately. We absolutely need to figure out what race we're signing up to do. We got to go do some crazy shit. What's the one you keep telling me about?
Half Dome is coming up, and Half Dome is just a hike. It's not a race. And the end of October they're having a trifecta, so it's run, bike, swim, half marathon type thing out there in Santa Monica. And so you're training, and a lot of this too, like when those training those habits of a training, to just train and to be fit and all that stuff, but to get out there, it's a different level of endurance and training, and that swimming, biking, and running is like it's a whole different physique of it's a whole different level of just being able to go into a gym and work out.
100%,
100%, dude. And I'm gonna tell you, as the older I get, the more the more I just want to be in good physical condition.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be the big. I was humongous. I was 300 pounds. I was 280 something pounds big. I was big as a doorway, bro. And I was humongous. And now I'm just trying to be fit, man.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be fit, man. I'm trying to be a fit dad for my kids. And being a fit dad, to enjoy life, to be able to travel, to be able to go run these marathons, and I gotta say, like, the purpose, of me saying, hey, I'm gonna sign up for this race, and staying consistent and doing that, a little bit of training to go to achieve that.
Yeah.
And the achievement, man, when you go and you walk through that finish line is amazing, dude.
You want to feel different about your life. Put in some training, sign up for something that makes you fucking nervous. Go out there.
Get uncomfortable.
When you want to quit, don't fucking quit.
Don't quit, man. Don't
and
quit.
Then feel what it feels like to cross that finish line and get this big, heavy fucking medal put around your neck, dude. Oh, man. You want to talk about a high, bro.
Oh, man. And not only that, man, one's good. But, I mean, when you have like when you have to buy like a whole little shelf rack hanger with all these medals and stuff on it, man, and you get to, and you look at it and you're just like, dang,
I need to bust my medals out.
Man, I bought this little thing, and the thing is I got my kid one too, and he hangs his medals on it next to mine, dude.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. All right, brother. I always wrap up the show. If you would be so kind, you came on, you bared your soul, you were authentic, you were vulnerable. If you be willing, man, take a look into your camera right over there and throw out some I am statements to let the people know who you truly are. It could be, I am sober, I'm a bad motherfucker, I am loved, I'm a dad, whatever you want it to be.
I'm going to tell you like this. I am Garet Mclendon today, and that I absolutely just love my life and the life I'm living today. I reach out and I'm just trying to be an inspiring person to the